Hello everyone, the Nerdy Steve here. Today we'll be featuring a standard Golgari Midrange deck. I'll go over the basic gameplay, some card choices, and the sideboard, and then we'll play a couple of matches. So let's go. The basic idea of this deck is to survive the early game with removal while also ramping a little bit until you can cast your really powerful late game spells, and you can sometimes even do that over and over again. And we'll get into a little bit about why. And the reason is Shigeki Jukai Visionary. This card, you can play on turn 2, and then against maybe an aggressive deck, on your next turn you can block and activate it. So it's returned to your hand, you fill your graveyard with some cards, and then you ramp yourself by putting that land onto the battlefield, right? And you can do this over and over again, but sometimes you'll only get one or two activations. But what Shigeki does is during the late game, when you have it in your hand after it's helped you ramp a bunch, you can then return a lot of your very powerful cards from your graveyard to your hand, and you get to have this really powerful dictated endgame options. Like recasting Invoke Despair multiple times not only draws you into more cards, but it can destroy 2 or 3 of your opponent's stuff. And that's just a type of card advantage and card selection that is very hard for people to overcome. You can Blood on the Snow, right? To destroy all creatures or all planeswalkers, whatever's bothering you, and you can maybe return Shigeki to the battlefield or one of your other big creatures. And if you return Shigeki, then later on you can activate Shigeki again to return itself, to get Blood on the Snow, and over again. So a lot of this deck, the end goal can be repeating Shigeki Jukai Visionary, right? To create this spot where your opponent just gets so overwhelmed. So we have Ray of Enfeeblement as a really pinpointed removal going, hey, Rafine's powerful, White Weenie's powerful, we need to make sure we can kill them before they stop us from assembling our card advantage. So we have Ray of Enfeeblement, Infernal Grasp, Meathook Massacre, Binding, and Culling Ritual, all to destroy creatures. Culling Ritual can destroy a lot of different things and give you mana, right? And then we also have Blood on the Snow and Invoke. So there's a ton of removal here. And that is a very integral part of our game plan, right? Again, we want to know that we have this removal, we want to cast it, and then later on with Shigeki, we can get it back if we need to, or we can get, Tovolar, Titan of Industry, Workshop Warchief, which are these big creatures that generate advantage that can either gain you life, which can help you, again, against more aggressive decks, wait later on, wait a couple turns before you can even get more of an advantage, right? There's the Titan of Industry, which can destroy more problematic permanents, give you more creatures, gain you life, etc. Right? So that's our basic game plan. We also have very aggressive creatures in Tenacious Underdog and Graveyard Trespasser, which can come down early and trade, and in the meanwhile generate some type of advantage later in the game by, either gaining you life or putting more pressure on your opponent with Graveyard Trespasser, or with the Underdog being able to cast it from your graveyard. Then we also have Dig Up, which can find you the lands that you need, but later on it can also search your library for any card that you want. And that is something that's going to be very powerful, and you can play around with that. And one of the not problems with Dig Up, but you're gonna need to really formulate a plan with Dig Up, and it's something where you go, okay, my hand is this, I can cast Dig Up for maybe Culling Ritual next turn, and then cast Culling Ritual the following turn, right? So sometimes you need to think ahead very far, and that can mean that it's very overwhelming at times, right? And so Dig Up is a card, like any tutor effect, that takes a while to get used to. And also because it's 4 mana, it's not very efficient. So you're gonna have to sometimes really, really plan ahead, and that can be hard. And that's something I'm probably going to make a lot of mistakes on, so don't feel bad either. And then our sideboard is, look, we have a lot of hand disruption for the control decks, right? Control decks, our Ray of Enfeeblement, Infernal Grasp aren't going to be as great, so you're going to want, different hand disruption. We have Check for Traps, we have Duress, and that's kind of like what our sideboard is going to be. Our main deck is kind of more generated towards an aggressive field, and so with our sideboard, we're going to have to switch that up so we don't just lose to decks without creatures, right? And with that, let's go play a couple matches and see how it goes. Okay, Silverwind. This is a decent hand, and it's much better if our opponent's a white aggressive deck, right? But we have Tenacious on turn 2, which can start attacking. Then we have Culling Ritual. So I'm going to Shigeki here now, so we can ramp and get cards in our graveyard. The problem is our opponent is blue-red, and our deck probably has a bad matchup, specifically at least game 1 against it. Oh, they did not do anything there. So we're going to dig up for a land. And then we're going to say go. Because I want to activate the Shigeki. Our opponent is some Teamer ramp, then, I would assume. Okay. At least we have Meathook out, which can do some things. We'll slowly be able to drain our opponent to death, which is nice. It does mean our Culling Ritual will kill it, though. So we're... Oh, Galazeth? Culling Ritual can kill the treasure tokens. Let's Binding the Galazeth, right? And do you know what? Maybe I should have been a little more careful with the Meathook. And not done it yet, and maybe tried to get a bigger creature. Yeah. So Dig Up can get what cards right now? I guess it can get an Infernal Grasp. Which I think was the only thing we could do there. We're gonna blitz it out. Double Ray of Enfeeblement can kill Kiki-Jiki. So, that's something. We'll cast it regular. And then, during our opponent's end step, we can activate Shigeki and kill the Kiki-Jiki. Oh no, a Titan of Industry. Oh, I meant to kill the Kiki-Jiki before the Titan resolved. Oh no, everyone. Hashtag disaster. Oh, I am so sorry. Oh, that's so brutal. Okay, well, we're gonna need to kill it. Hopefully, we're not too punished for this. Do we have 4 mana? What can we get for 4? Alright, we lose. Oh, I'm so sorry, everyone. Let's get him... Let's get him here. So Ray of Enfeeblement can come out. Probably want check for traps. And maybe that's it. I want to not cry. And we wait. Okay. The Invoke is going to be good against our opponent's Kiki-Jiki. Or whatever. Oh, that was brutal. Remember, I even specifically said, let's kill the Kiki-Jiki. But sometimes it be like that, y'all. Of course, disruption. Opponent does not have red. So maybe I can get rid of Chariot. Good. Doing... Oh, our opponent used up the disruption? Okay, interesting. They're gonna red. I think they might want to kill the Shigeki. I get why they wouldn't, but... What do they have? They can only do 1 mana, right? Oh, because they could do that. My bad. That also tap for mana. Forgot about that. So now what? The gold span, we take 4. We activate Shigeki. Okay. Now again, our opponent is also a very mid-rangey type of deck. But they are a little quicker and more aggressive than us. So we get to Shigeki for 2 here. Which I don't know how good this will be. We can get an Invoke and a Dig Up. Opponent's really figuring out what, trying to figure out what to do. And we wait. We could always Boseiju a Bankbuster or a Fable if we really, really want to, but maybe our opponent just left and that's okay. I mean, if our opponent went away, I hope everything is okay, but I'm not gonna feel too bad. I'll still count it as a win. Or maybe they're just, you know, gaming us. Well, while this is happening, we can talk about a little bit. The deck is very, very, very mana hungry. So trying to hit all of your land drops is important. Okay, let's check for traps. And so that is something to just be a little cognizant of as we're playing this deck. I think we want a Blood on the Snow. Alright, looks like our opponent's here or they're back. Excuse me. Okay. Alright, we know that Blood on the Snow is going to kill their board. I can Blood on the Snow back Shigeki or Trespasser. Trespasser will get rid of the Memory Deluge. But I think I kind of want the Shigeki, right? Just to, you know, ensure that we can bury our opponent again in card advantage. Because now we get to activate Shigeki and bring back Blood and everything. So our opponent may have taken a turn off, but, you know, that's fine. Maybe they're really, really big and we want Blood on the Snow, or maybe even a Soul Transfer. Probably don't need the Underdog. We just want to make sure we can get rid of their threats very, very cheaply. Let's hope it works. Excuse me. Alright. We have a Shigeki on 2. Is almost exactly what the best start we can ask for in a lot of ways. They can have the removal and they did. Oh, did our opponent keep a interesting hand again? I'm gonna get a land. Let's get rid of their enchantment and their creature and draw a card. Oh, Sika's Chariot is really good here. We're doing this so we can kill the Chariot if they crew. Oh, our opponent drew a negate. Oh, actual disaster. The good thing from this position right now is Chariot can only deal 4. Like, we're not going to block the Chariot if they crew. And so it's like not the end of the world. It's obviously not fantastic, but it will become night. Take action. Ooh. We'll discard that. Dig up we can find a Meathook Massacre to kind of clean everything up and gain a bunch of life. Another Fable, okay. Activate ability. Let's hope we get a land. We can actually Shigeki back a Meathook. Now, let's get... Oh, Meathook is legendary. So that's still fine. We can get a Dig Up and an Invoke. For a... Ooh, can we get a Blood? No, we need a Meat Daddy. Do it for 2. That was good. And then, part of me kind of wants... Let's make sure we hit our land drop, because we have a Shigeki. So, that's kind of important. Because we can Shigeki a Dig Up. And get something potentially. Iteration is good for our opponent. We still have Invoke Despair, which will get rid of the Reflection and the Fable, maybe? Then we can Shigeki other stuff. So I'm not too worried yet, but they are... Iteration's really, really good, right? Fading Hope. Fate... Maybe they're gonna Fading Hope the reflection of Jiki. Because if they do the Trespasser, they're gonna have to discard a card from their hand. Okay. Alright. That was very, very good. Very, very good. Now our opponent gets to attack. Yep. Oh, Hall of the Storm Giants. Uh-oh. Let's get 2 cards back. Dig up and an Invoke. We get to loot. Three. Alright, is this Titan time? Yeah. G. Frickin' G. Porygon? Is Porygon the name of a Pokemon? Or is that like Polygon? So... I'm going to keep the Trespasser and hope we get to the 5 mana for our invokes to do really well. But we'll see. We only need 2 more swamps, and we're kind of really good. Invoke is such a great card when you can cast it. I mean, aren't all cards good when you can cast them? Now we need 1 more land, and we're golden. Hopefully it's an untapped land. Our opponent is Grixis of some kind. Fable. Now I'm going to get rid of the enchantment and leave them the creature. That way, if they want to get the treasure, they lose it. I think stopping them from getting the loot and then having to deal with the Jiki is a problem. I don't necessarily mind them having the shaman. I mean, I do mind, obviously. I'd rather them not have it. It's also important to note that the black... We're a little short on black mana right now. We got a green land with the Boseiju when we drew last turn. So Binding will find us a black source, but... You know, Okay, there we go. However, not being able to cast Invoke on turn 5. Oh, and our opponent didn't have a lot of good stuff in hand. Fudge. They're gonna have so much mana available now that the invokes might be a little too late. Hopefully not. But one, two, okay. And then a Kaito. Okay. At least we get the 3-for-1 here. No, we won't because Kaito will be phased out.
Now, what do we have here?
This is also where we cut our Ray of Enfeeblements. They have not been particularly wonderful. Workshop Titan might be okay here. But again, these 2/2s are just doing so much work.
Thanks. I'll be taking that now.
They're generating so much value for our opponent. So, let's see. We really need a Meathook Massacre, and we need that Massacre to resolve. A Culling Ritual would be okay. But I'm not sure. We have to wait to see what our opponent does, obviously. Culling Ritual would be amazing. So, Culling Ritual one time. And we lose. Oh, that was a disaster. If we were able to invoke on the turn we needed to invoke, I think we have a much better time. We get out of Ray of Enfeeblement here. I don't know if we actually want the Culling Ritual. It would have been good in that situation, but I don't think it's particularly wonderful in this match. Probably want another Meathook. Maybe another Blood. And a check for traps. Probably. If we can duress the Fable or the Kaito or their other card advantage stuff before they get going, we will have the opportunity for our control grindy stuff to come in. But our opponent, they're a little quick. and so we didn't have time. Our opponent also has Graveyard Disruption, a little bit of it, and that is something we have to pay attention to because it can be a little problematic when, with our Shigekiing, we're not going to be able to loop or do a lot of cool stuff with it. So that's something we need to be cognizant of, right? Alright. This I like. Right? Check for traps on turn 2, followed by the Celestus will give us some... It fixes our mana and gives us some card selection down the line. Alright, ooh. Duress. We have to be aware of that negate, but they can't use it yet. Then we get to this, and then for black mana, we get to find a swamp. And then we can invoke Despair, which will be wonderful. Specifically if our opponent didn't draw anything good. So... I wonder what our opponent is thinking. Oh, I didn't draw land, maybe I should concede. Because I would agree with that sentiment, please. Okay. Yeah, let's just invoke here. Blue. So now our opponent can Corpse Appraiser. Oh, they drew the Fable. Then we can Duress the Negate. They still have the Appraiser and they could do it on their Underdog. Maybe they don't want to, though. And that is something we are very happy with, if they don't want to do that. But we are only at 10, which isn't a lot of life. We get to Duress. See what's going on. They do have Evelyn. Let's get rid of that. To Drain. I block. Right? And Scavenger, okay. dig up. Let's make it become night. We can get rid of that, and then our graveyard. We can get rid of the land, so it makes the scavenger only 3. And then I think we just want all of the mana we possibly can get. So I'm gonna do that. And maybe that's wrong, but I don't hate playing our land, even though it does give us something we can't discard to the day-night Celestus. I think it's fine. Trying to think what we want to do with the Titan, though. Oh. We have to just do this because if we attack our opponent, Evelyn's blocked, so it doesn't do anything. Which is a little bit of a shame. Oh, that's a really good... Those are really good Evelyn finds. Frick. Our opponent got blood on the snow with the Evelyn trigger. Oh no. Actual disaster. 5. I think we lose? Yep. GG. Thank you all for watching me play some Golgari Midrange in Standard. The deck was definitely fun, and I think it does have a place in the metagame, but with one specific caveat. Or not really a specific caveat, but what I'm talking about is we have 4 Ray of Enfeeblements, and they were terrible in all of these games, right? And that's because Ray of Enfeeblement is here for a very assumed specific metagame. If I were to change this deck and use it in the future, I would make it become literally any other type of removal, right? It just was not good here. Even main deck Duress would probably have been infinitely better, and that's something that I don't think would be a bad choice, right? But overall, the deck was fine. It flowed very well. And it was just really, really great and really, really fun. I like having those long, grindy games. And again, we didn't get to do that as much as we wanted to, but I think a lot of our game ones, if we had other removal, we could have had a better chance, right? So that's something to take in mind if you wanted to build this deck. would be to maybe not just have very specific removal for it, and having a more general suite would be better. But with that, if you haven't already, you should totally like, comment, or subscribe. You can also watch me stream several times a week at twitch.tv/thenerdysteve. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a wonderful morning, evening, or afternoon wherever you are. Thank you for watching. Bye.